Hey everybody, in this video I'm going to share with you 5 of my favorite, or kind of 4-ish plus 5 of my favorite accessories that I have with my Makita track saw. Some of them are like luxury, really expensive, nice to have items, and some of them are super simple and cheap and easy to find. And so I hope this is helpful to you. Let's get into it. Let me get a smaller piece, hang on. Okay, help. All right, here's a smaller piece. This is basically Owens Corning insulation. I think you can get 4x8 sheets of it at Home Depot, Lowe's for about 15 bucks. This is the 1/2-inch kind. I had seen people do this before and I never really thought much about it. I thought it was kind of silly until I needed to cut some plywood and I didn't have like the right way to support it. And I had some of these extra from a project, so I slapped 2 down and I was amazed at how awesome it cut, how the cuts were kind of cleaner because there was support underneath it. And the only downside to these things is because these are 1/2-inch, you could set your plunge very closely, but what happens often to me was as you start to dig into it, actually the one I would use all the time is cut up into like 5 or 6 different pieces, so it's kind of useless. I still have another sheet of it, but if I were to do it again, and what I would recommend you do is to get the 1-inch version. I think they're about $20. So for maybe 5 bucks more, you can get the 1-inch version that's a little bit more rigid. And I use this all the time to cut now. Most of the things I cut are sheets of plywood, so I don't really need them to be at, you know, counter height or anything. I'm usually kind of on the floor. So this is perfect. I can lay this stuff down, pull the sheet of plywood out of my truck, lay it on there. It's not going to chip it, and then I can get to work. Now here's a bonus thing that I learned with this. I know I'm young, but my knees aren't so young. One of the benefits of using this as an accessory is if you are going to kneel down and do some work, this is basically a cushion, and so you don't need like an extra knee support, especially if the piece you're working on isn't a full size sheet of plywood and it's not taking up the entire sheet. Often I've kind of been surprised at how this has saved my knees when working. So this is kind of the first accessory that it's not really an accessory, it's another item. I encourage you to get a thicker version though instead of this 1/2-inch. The second accessory is this hose. This is a 20-foot long hose. I think the brand is Centec. It's on Amazon. I put a link in it. I had a hard time hooking up dust collection to my Makita track saw because the port is a kind of a weird, odd shape or size. I think it's 1.5 inner diameter, outside diameter is like 1 3/4. And I was having problems finding a hose at the big box store. I think for a while I found like this adapter from Woodcraft, I think, or maybe I got on Amazon, and I was able to hook this bigger end into my, I think it's a 2.5-inch size shop vac, and then this would go onto the track saw. But what happened over time is you can see it's pretty soft, is it would usually fall off mid-cut and make a mess. And so while this worked for a little while, over time it just wasn't a snug fit. And so I had ordered several hoses and several adapters, and I would go to Woodcraft and I go to all these places trying to find the right adapter, and I couldn't. And then I took a gamble on this hose from Amazon, 20 feet long, 40 bucks. But I think the selling point is they make these like disconnect things. I don't really use it for that, although that's kind of a cool feature. The main reason I bought it was for this. This adapter that it comes with fits the Makita port perfectly. Now, so if you're interested, and I thought it was kind of cheap, but it actually has been holding up. It works super well. The other end is like this, and it butts up against the hose I currently have. I tried some connectors. I haven't found a solution that I love. What I would do for a long time is just hook this up with duct tape. And then I finally found a splice connector at Home Depot, of all places, in a 3-pack. I'll put a link to it if you've had the same problem. and I'm able to join this to the hose on my shop vac. I'm still looking for a way to get some type of an end that goes on this and would go right into the shop vac and not have to go through 2 hoses. But currently it works, it's fine. Now one thing I tried, I have a big dust collector with like a 5-inch port, and it goes down to 4-inch and goes into my table saw, and I've got, you know, adapters for it. And I tried hooking this up to that, and no matter what, it always left like lots of fine powder in here, and it really didn't, for whatever reasons, I don't understand the aerodynamics of things. Even though it was a bigger hose and a bigger horsepower, it just wouldn't pull the dust. So the shop vac actually works perfectly. So while I have a big dust collector for my jointer, my planer, my table saw, when it comes to my track saw, I use this hose with my rigid shop vac. Hey, if you're getting value out of this video, do me a favor and hit the like button. What that does is it tells YouTube that if they recommended this video to you and you watched it and you liked it and you took the effort enough to hit the like button, that helps me out by telling YouTube to show this video to more people. So if you're learning anything, you're getting anything out of this, I can't even talk. Please do that. Let me show you the accessory that I don't love, but it has a very unique use. Hang on. This guy from Rockler, it's called the Dust Right. I actually got this before the hose, and it fits perfectly. And that was because I had this connector. I knew with my calipers I measured what connector I would actually need, which led me to finding this one on Amazon. These are almost the same, and they work really well. And I was really excited about this. I think it was 30 or 40 bucks from Rockler. I'll put an image up. And it's basically a canister. Now, I think what this would work well for is like a palm sander, something that's going to make fine dust and not a lot of dust at one time. For the track saw, it basically fills up in one pass. So if I'm doing like one cut on like a 8-foot run of plywood, if I go to the second cut, it'll start to push sawdust out, and I realize I'm not getting a clean cut. And I look at this, and this thing is full, and I already need to empty it. I was disappointed with this, and I wouldn't really say that I love it. I still have it because I spent money on it. Here's what this would be good for, okay? If you're in your shop and you're doing a lot of cuts, this isn't for you. But let's say you get called to a client's house and you're working on kitchen cabinets and you need to like make one trim cut, and you only need to make 1 or 2 cuts, and you need to get in and out of the job quickly, and you've got the battery version of the track saw, and you want to just walk in with your track saw, with your track, your batteries, and you don't want to make a mess. I think that's what this is for. Is you could go into a house with your cordless saw, you could put this in there, and you can make your one cut, or even if you made a couple of cuts, it's fine. You just would empty it, and that would save you from having to bring in a vacuum and a hose and you could get in and out pretty quickly. And so, or if you're in your shop and you see to make one cut, that's what this is for. But doing like a long project, this would not really work. But it's a very specific tool with a very specific use, and it would basically be for your track saw if you're just doing a one cut and you just need one shot of dust collection. Then it works, but I use the hose most of the time. So it's kind of like I'd say this is like 5 accessory. This is like 4.5. This is like half an accessory for me. I'm interested if you have used this or anything similar. I think Festool has one that's bigger. If that works for you, and specifically if you have the Festool one, does that work better? Can you get more cuts, more than like 1 or 2 out of this? Now this is the 4th accessory, and it's these ratchet style clamps. Now this is the Bessey version. This is my favorite. They're like 39 bucks. Festool makes one that's 42. I did a complete video on these and putting up against the budget PowerTech clamps. The PowerTech clamps are great. They're like 30 bucks. And they aren't identical. This Bessey one is identical with the Festool. I think they're made by the same manufacturer. The PowerTech is slightly different. They're not made in the same factory, but for a $12 discount, they're just as good. I've actually never used these until I got my track saw, and I've got like this Polk style bench behind me that I use it for. But what is so great, let me grab my track. What's so great is, especially if you're cutting like say a tabletop down, you can make your measurement, put this on your, oh my goodness, we need B-roll. You can put this on your workpiece, slide your clamps underneath on the ends in the track, clamp your track down and it won't move. And then you can take your track saw with 2 hands on it and you can get the accurate, perfect cut. You don't have to measure, you don't have to work with measuring offsets or anything like that. And these ratchet style clamps combined with this track, this groove in the bottom, it's huge. I think if you've got a track saw, you need at least 2 of these in your box. I know DeWalt makes some ratchet style ones that are really popular. This is the Bessey version. Festool makes some, PowerTech makes some. I think Microjig makes some. And I'm sure more and more people will make them. They are these incredible, incredible accessories. It's probably like one of my favorite accessories. All right, here's my favorite accessory. And it is, I think it would go in the luxury category because it costs twice as much as a track. And it costs about half of what I paid for my track saw kit. And it is this TSO rail square. I did not even know about these until a few months ago. I did not think I would want one of these or need one of these. You know that feeling when you hold just like a really high quality tool in your hand and it just works? It just does it. There's no, you use it and it does its job. That's what this is. Its job is to hold things square and it just does it. It's made out of one piece of aluminum, high quality tool grade. It's got this clamp built on, it's got rubber stuff on it. It's got this, you know, I've got a video where I go in depth about this. I encourage you to check it out, but this is probably my favorite. This and those clamps are my favorite accessories. Do you need one of these? No, but man, does it save you time and is it a joy to use and hold? It is. So that's the 5 accessories that I have for my Makita track saw setup that I love. I'm interested to know what accessories you use and if any of these accessories that I've mentioned work for you or if any of them don't work for you. I encourage you to comment in below and I read all the comments and respond, and I'd love to hear kind of how you trick out your track saw system. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. Until next time, peace.